If Mark Carney takes over and becomes Liberal leader and Prime Minister, he could cut a deal with Jagmeet Singh and the NDP and say, we've got a national emergency because of Donald Trump and these tariff threats. We've got to stay in power. They could stick around, not just until the summer, not just until October, but all the way until the fall of 2026.
Well, it's official. Canada has been slapped with 25% tariffs effective immediately. You also have a new plane crash that took place in Philadelphia, which is absolutely catastrophic. And we're going to review some of that and see what the heck is going on there. You also have Donald Trump, who's bragging about doing a massive missile strike on some ISIS people, killing them on Twitter. Like, I know that these things happen. Normally it's on the news, but the fact that you're reading about it from the president who's at the golf course today is kind of crazy. And then, oh yeah, you also have Canadian election is pretty likely going to be postponed from 2025 to 2026. Yeah, and then also my wife added Bailey's to my coffee this morning instead of creamer because apparently we're out. So I apologize for being a little unhinged if I'm unhinged today. It's the liquor talking. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage y'all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. And before we get into it, we do have to talk about how to invest in yourself, specifically your health. If you're trying to get in shape because maybe you want to run away as far as you can from this trade war, which isn't that bad of an idea if I'm being brutally honest, then listen up because this part of the video is for you. I've seen this over and over again where people are doing exactly what they need to be doing in order to lose weight, but for some reason it's not working. I'm talking about checking all the boxes, meal prepping, weightlifting, doing some cardio, and you're still not getting what you want. It's not actually for the reasons that you would suspect. In most cases, it has to do with something that's called your metabolic flexibility. I've personally been using Lumen for the past few weeks to really understand how the food I eat fits into the bigger picture, how easily my body shifts from burning carbs to fat to energy. This is what metabolic flexibility is all about. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. With just one breath first thing in the morning, Lumen can measure your metabolism. It lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and stress management. No more cookie cutter one-size-fits-all nutrition plans. Lumen lets you know what's happening in your body in real time and helps you build a personalized plan based off of the data that your own personal body is generating, which is going to be different than everybody else. And the biggest question everyone asks is, how does this actually work? First, Lumen gives you daily macro recommendations based on what's going on with your metabolism that day, so you can fuel your body with what's best for you. Then right before a workout, you just breathe into Lumen and it'll tell you if you are burning carbs or fat. Lumen will tell you if you need to carb up before your workout for an energy boost or if you're all set to go. Using this biofeedback, Lumen puts you in the most optimal state for getting the most out of your workouts. In the long run, all of these changes, they really start to add up. And it makes all the difference when you're trying to burn that excess fat, gain muscle, and improve your health. So if you want to take back control of your personal health, or maybe you just need the energy to be able to properly run away from these ongoing trade war that we're seeming to really get into, then go to lumen.me/sunshine or click the link down below in the description or the pinned comment below and get yourself 20% off your Lumen today. With 25% tariffs starting effective immediately here in Canada imposed by America, getting 20% off on Lumen is an awesome bargain that you're not really going to find anywhere else. And it's also the best way to invest in your health. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring today's video. And without further ado, let's start with taking a look at Donald Trump bragging about striking ISIS with missiles this morning. This morning, I ordered precision military airstrikes on senior ISIS attack planner and other terrorists he recruited and led in Somalia. These killers, who we found hiding in caves, threatened the United States and our allies. The strikes destroyed the caves that they live in and killed many terrorists without in any way harming civilians. Our military has targeted this ISIS attack planner for years, but Biden and his cronies couldn't act quickly enough to get the job done. I did. The message to ISIS and all others who would attack Americans is that we will find you and we will kill you. What the heck is going on? Like, I agree with that wording, but it is wild seeing Donald Trump back at it. Like, we're getting a totally more unhinged version of Trump than the world saw back in 2016 or whenever that was. So yeah, kind of crazy. And then some other good things that Trump is doing is, I guess, turning the water back on in California. Photo of beautiful water flow that I just opened in California. Today, 1.6 billion gallons, and in 3 days will be 5.2 billion gallons. Everybody should be happy about this long-fought victory. I only wish they listened to me 6 years ago. There would have been no fire. So as you can see, if you're an American or you're dual citizen or you're just super pro-America and pro-Trump, things are looking pretty good. But Canada's getting a little bit of the shit end of the stick. But now let's take a look here at what's going on with this new plane crash in Philadelphia, because this is starting to be a little sketchy. 2 plane crashes within like days apart. Let's take a look.
A small medical jet has crashed near a mall in northeast Philadelphia and exploded in a ball of flames. The moment captured on nearby doorbell cameras as the fireball lit up the night sky. The plane, headed for Missouri, crashed into a neighborhood outside the Roosevelt Mall shortly after leaving the Northeast Philadelphia airport. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says 6 people were on board the plane. Multiple casualties are reported, along with damaged homes and vehicles.
An aircraft went down in the vicinity of Roosevelt Mall on Cottman Avenue. This occurred shortly after 6 p.m. this evening. As of right now, we have no reports on the number of fatalities. So right now, we're just asking for prayers for any and everyone who may have been affected. We do want to note that several dwellings and vehicles were impacted.
And shocked witnesses say it felt like an earthquake or like something out of a movie.
A small plane basically hit right over there, and it was just like, it was just horrific. It was something, I was just driving down the street and coming out of Wendy's, and I just saw a plane basically just hit the buildings, and just an explosion happened, and I just seen the sky light up, and I pulled over, and basically it was just real bad around here.
I just see the plane is getting lower and lower and lower. It nipped the house. When it nipped the house, it hit a couple cars. Boom! And to the plaza, and to the Dunkin' Donuts, everywhere. I've never seen nothing like that.
Yeah, it's getting crazy out there, right? And I think there's still information that's being released as we're speaking right now about what happened with the previous incident where the helicopter flew into the plane. And I think it's just kind of crazy to see 2 major plane crashes almost back to back like that in America, when plane crashes are extremely rare to begin with. And I wonder if, as we find out, I don't know if it was a DEI hire, one of those things with the Black Hawk that, collided with the airplane. But I don't think that America's just going to sit by, or Trump's going to sit by and say, okay, well, it is what it is. Let's hope it doesn't happen again. He's already signed an executive order after the first plane crashed into the Black Hawk helicopter, basically just trying to change aviation to avoid these types of mistakes. So we're seeing a lot of changes and a lot of things that Trump is doing like right out the gate, which is pretty interesting. And then switching over to Canada, we can still use the word pretty interesting, not in a good way though, because there's been an assassin, actually a rise of assassins coming out of Toronto. This is a new fear that seems to be unlocked by some people. An aspiring assassin dressed as a city construction worker sets up shop in front of a Markham home. Like, this is wild. So you can see there, he's talking to what looks to be like a homeowner, going over some details, wearing a mask, which is interesting because why would you be doing that outside nowadays? And tries to direct the person to where he wants him to go, and then pulls out a firearm and it jams. It actually jams, and he can't figure out how it's going to work, and then unjams it and takes some shots and runs off and then flees the scene immediately. that's kind of crazy. That's some stuff that you see in movies, and the fact that it's happening right now in Toronto, and there's been like multiple attacks like that where people are dressing up and they're trying to assassinate somebody. That's kind of scary. That's not the Canada that any of us grew up in. That's not the Canada that any of us have voted for, and not the Canada that any of us want. But there are some pros to Canada's state right now, at least politically speaking, which would be memes. You have Ruby Dalla, who's running for prime minister or the leader of the Liberal Party, who is saying Trudeau 2.0 and using the Spider-Man meme. Trudeau pointing at Mark Carney, pointing at Freeland, pointing at all of each other, which is kind of crazy. And that's a fun way to look at it. You got Trudeau 1, Trudeau 2, and female Trudeau. So that's going to be interesting to see how this leadership race turns out. But some people are already getting emails from Mark Carney, such as Marty up north on X. And I got a personal email from Carney this morning. It's funny because it's not personalized at all. First name. Didn't even put the name of the person, just literally wrote first name. I'm running for lead of the Liberal Party and to be your next prime minister because I know Canada can be so much better and I'm working hard to earn your support. First name, not addressing anybody at all, just first name. I'm working hard to earn your support. First name. I grew up in Laurier Heights, Edmonton, where hard work, fairness, and unity defined us. These values made Canada great, but today too many people are struggling. That's why yesterday I announced our new climate plan, a plan that makes our economy more competitive, lowers costs for people, and grows good jobs today and in the future. Oh my goodness. Well, the climate plan that Mark Carney has in place involves a carbon tax. Mark Carney, a so-called elite banker, claims taxing industries won't trickle down to consumers. Let's take a look at this little video clip.
Then secondly, what we're going to do is make sure not that the government pays, not that we as taxpayers pay, but the large polluters pay. And so what happens...
But does that not ultimately trickle down?
No, because what the big companies are producing, by and large, are not products that we are consuming. There's some element of that, but by and large, you know, a steel company, how much steel are you using these days, Todd? I mean, not as much we used. So anyway, so that's core to...
Yeah, I just don't know how anyone can trust Mark Carney. I feel like he's really shown his true colors over the years, and it's just not trustworthy. The entire Liberal Party doesn't seem to be trustworthy. The only person that's actually standing up against that from the Liberal side would be that Ruby person. But again, I'm not going to endorse her. I'm not going to say that she's good. I'm not going to say go ahead and get yourself a Liberal subscription or Liberal Party membership to vote for her. I have no idea. I don't want any of these Liberals to be in power or even have a voice right now. I think that we really just need to get rid of the Liberal Party and the NDP while we're at it, because Jagmeet Singh is the literal reason why we're in this place, in the situation in the first place. He had not one chance, not two chances, but three chances at voting in favor of non-confidence. And then after the final vote, which he denied, that's when he came out with a post on X saying, I'm committed to voting on confidence in the new year. Good job, Jagmeet. Look where that got us. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Anyways, moving on here, you've got Chris Barber posts on X saying Canadians are crying over 25% tariff with the USA, but ignoring the 20% carbon tax increase on April 1st. Which is something to obviously keep in the back of your mind, is that we're going to see a massive increase in the carbon tax, even though a lot of these Liberal voters, or sorry, not Liberal voters, Liberal candidates are saying we're going to get rid of the tax, right? You've got Chrystia Freeland who said that. You have Mark Carney who said that. They're all trying to basically run on the promise that we're going to get rid of the consumer carbon tax, but it's still going to increase on April 1st. So even though they want to get rid of it right now, it's still going to increase. So no one has denied that it's going to increase, which is scary, especially because we don't have a functioning government right now. So there's nothing we can do to stop that increase of the carbon tax. Like quite literally nothing. They're not in government. They're not in parliament. And even though they do resume on the 24th of March, it's still not enough time to stop the increase of the carbon tax. I'm only laughing because I'm crying on the inside. And then who also is crying is Ontario. Ontario has almost 1 million jobs tied to U.S. exports. That's 12% of all jobs in Ontario. Says the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. That's why Doug Ford has been emotional, because he knows. And that is going to be incredibly devastating as these tariffs start to actually be implemented and we start to get into this trade war. You're going to see a lot of people really be affected. And this is why you have the Liberals and the NDP. They're trying to push forward this COVID style of relief because there are so many jobs that are tied to U.S. exports. But I, again, don't think that printing money in a COVID relief style is going to be beneficial to our economy in the long run. But that doesn't mean that I don't think people should get relief. I think that we should be trying to fix these issues to get the tariffs removed. Full stop. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And then you got this clip here from Global News shared by Mark Nixon on X saying, breaking some rare good news. Canadian law requires a 30-day consultation before imposing counter tariffs. So for 30 days, Canadians won't be taxed into oblivion yet. The bad news is that the government is prorogued until March 24th, meaning no stimulus for businesses. Why? Because reopening Parliament would trigger an election, and the Liberals would rather protect their leadership race than protect Canadian businesses. So yeah, let's take a look here at this clip.
Mackenzie, can we get into specifics for a second of what you may know about how the government plans to respond?
Yeah, so the government is ready to put in counter tariffs, Carolyn, with sources telling Global News. They're set to slap $37 billion in tariffs if Trump follows through, and that could grow to $110 billion if the U.S. keeps the tariffs in place. But implementing that plan might take time. By Canadian law, there needs to be a 30-day consultation period for Ottawa to put any tariffs in place, and that hasn't been announced yet. So we're probably a month away from any Canadian tariff pushback. Then there's the question of relief for businesses and workers. Now, remember, the Liberals shut down Parliament until March 24th when Justin Trudeau said he'd quit. So it seems highly unlikely the Liberals would bring it back and risk a potential election without a full-time leader in place. So that complicates any potential tariff relief package. But the government has said, Carolyn, there's some things they can do, like changing EI eligibility requirements without having to go through the House of Commons.
Okay, so they're not risking a potential election, though. This is the thing. And I tried explaining this on my live stream last night, and I butchered it, and I'm likely going to butcher it again right now. Jagmeet Singh is more committed. If you had to pick an election for Jagmeet has two decisions: call an election, vote non-confidence, or provide a relief system, a relief package for people that are affected by the tariffs and businesses. He's going with people that are affected by the tariffs, individual people and businesses. He wants to farm votes that way for himself and provide a relief package. That means that he can't vote in favor of non-confidence, because if there's an election, he won't be able to provide that stimulus package. So if government reopens, Jagmeet Singh will not be supporting a vote of non-confidence anytime soon, because he wants to provide that stimulus package, and you can't have the two coexist right now. It's just not going to happen. You can't get the stimulus package by calling an election, and if you call an election, you're definitely not getting that stimulus package. And so that's why Jagmeet Singh is just like, he's saying that he's going to call an election, but he's also going for the stimulus package. I don't think people understand, like, I don't think NDP supporters understand that the two can't exist together. It's just not going to happen. And this is what's so dangerous. But hold on to your boots, because it actually gets worse. We're talking about, not only is Jagmeet Singh going to be pushing for this stimulus package to fight the tariffs, Jagmeet Singh has no interest in giving the Conservatives power right now, because that's not a guarantee that the tariffs are going to be removed. He would rather go for the Band-Aid solution and provide that stimulus package. So we're not only facing that, which means that we're probably going to see an election in October of 2025, but now there's information coming out that we might not even get an October 2025 election. We might get a election in 2026. And to explain that a little bit more, there's this video that's been circulating the internet by Brian Lilly, who works for the Toronto Sun, I believe. Let's take a look at this, because this is kind of scary and also very, very real, and even more so, quite probable.
One of the questions I get the most is, when is Canada going into a federal election? Well, the answer is we may not head into one until September 2026. Yeah, you heard that, September 2026. That's the last time that we're able to. The vote has to be held before the 5-year mark of the last vote, which was October 2021. That's the Constitution. Yes, we've got fixed election date laws, but they're not worth the paper they're printed on. They have all kinds of outs for parties to be able to do this. If Mark Carney takes over and becomes Liberal leader and Prime Minister, he could cut a deal with Jagmeet Singh and the NDP and say, we've got a national emergency because of Donald Trump and these tariff threats. We've got to stay in power. They could stick around, not just until the summer, not just until October, but all the way until the fall of 2026, all because of our strange government and constitutional system.
And I think if there's anything that we can all agree on, it's that Jagmeet Singh is very likely to continue a coalition-style deal with the Liberal government to fight these tariffs with a stimulus type of package. This is what Jagmeet's been going around saying for the past week or 2 weeks now. He's like super pro the stimulus package. He's not as pro solving the issues to have the tariffs removed, but he's very much pro the stimulus package. And the only way he can get that is by working with Trudeau, the Trudeau government, Trudeau 2.0 government, the Liberal government. And again, to reiterate, he can't get the stimulus package if there is a vote on confidence and or an election. The only way he can get that stimulus package and then push for more pharmacare, push for more social programs is if he has a coalition with the Liberal government. And they're not going to have an election this year if the tariffs are still on and if we get into a trade war. If there's any way to describe how the Canadian government historically works, it's not effective. It's not working as it should. It's very, very slow, very, very outdated. That's the best way, one of the best ways, and also very corrupt, but that's a good way to describe how the Canadian government works. So now that we're getting into this trade war, we're also experiencing a massive, leadership race and a shift of power from Trudeau to Trudeau 2.0. It's very probable that we're going to experience some sort of emergency powers, a state of emergency, in order to be able to push forward this stimulus package for the government to print more money to be able to give relief to everyone that's affected by the tariffs and businesses. And that's going to take months. It's going to be called immediately once government is, once they figure out who the leader is, they're going to call for an emergency power type of thing to be able to push forward these stimulus packages. It's going to take a little bit of time to get set up the infrastructure on the Canadian government website like they did with CERB. People will probably be able to apply for it right away like they did with CERB, and then they're going to filter through and some sort of criteria. We're talking about something that's going to take 3-4 months to roll out all of the kinks. That means that we're not going to have an election in that time because it's going to be under the guise of emergency, right? And then we're faced in October 2025, where we're supposed to have that federal election. But again, if the tariffs are not removed by then there's not going to be an election. There's no way there's going to be an election. They're going to keep calling emergency. And so right now, the Conservatives, right, Danielle Smith and Pierre, they want the tariffs off. You want the tariffs off. I want the tariffs off. We don't want the tariffs. I want everyone to pay very close attention in the coming weeks at how Liberals and NDP politicians are talking, because technically they don't want the tariffs off. It's in their party's best interest to have the tariffs on because they get to stay in power for longer. That's pretty messed up. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's extremely corrupt. And they're guising it as, well, we need time to figure this out, so let's do this stimulus package in the interim. That's absolutely disgusting. That's going to cause a lot of harm to our economy, especially if we have a retaliatory response. But hey, that's just my opinion, folks. So I would absolutely love to know yours. And while all this is going on, you have Trump today. While we're being hit with 25% tariffs, he's out at the golf course. As Canada braces for tariffs, Trump heads to his golf course. And you can see right here, his convoy, his motorcade, is pulling up to a golf course. Oh my goodness. There he goes. Off to golf. Canada's making us a lot of money, and I'm going to golf in the meantime. So yeah, there you go, folks. That's today's update. I do plan on having a video coming out later this evening with some more follow-ups and some more developing news. That's obviously going to take place between now and then. So I hope you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. I hope you drop a like on this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys later on. And if you haven't yet already, let me know down in the comments any of your guys' thoughts about what's going on with the tariffs, with the COVID style relief that Jagmeet and the Liberals are wanting to push forward. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later on today. Bye for now.